Hello, welcome or welcome back. It's day 87 of the 180-day challenge. I'm trying to spit something out here. This is like the 10th video I filmed. What I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to get out here, I'm trying to be vulnerable. I'm trying to show a weakness, and I'm just so bad at doing that. But basically, I go from doing, Ed, if you've been following along, I've been super into breath work, been like decided that pursuing a pursuing breath work is the first true chapter of my journey to 100% heal spinal cord injury. And so I've been researching it, been practicing a bunch. And if you take your own breathwork journey, you'll realize, especially in these really intense, like alkaline breathing sessions where you quiet the thinking brain really well, you have these moments of knowing, these intense moments of like things that you already knew or had heard before, but they finally hit home and you absorb them and really understand it. And yesterday and today, that thing for me was that strength was just the absence of fear. That you didn't have to manifest courage; you just had to let go of fear. That seems obvious, but I didn't realize like how pervasive fear was in my own life until I took time to uh, really pay attention to my thoughts, really pay attention to what's going on in there, and listen to it, and realize that that's why if you watched yesterday's video, I deleted everything on my phone because I realized that my thoughts were way more chaotic than they used to be. And I realized that tons of the chaos was being created by fear. And so I have these big, intense realizations, and I feel like, now I'm on a good trajectory, and nothing can derail me now that I realize whatever it is that I realize. I just have to hold on to it and go forward and, whatever. And then yesterday, I get out of a breath work, like a fully relaxing breath work session. I'm going to dive back in. It's just like a 15-minute session. Then I'm going to dive back in to work. And I look outside, and you'll see that's where my dog actually just escaped to, as a matter of fact. Oh no, she's back that way. Never mind. She's in another corner. But basically, I open the back door of my house and I just see my fence is crushed. There's a tree that's tipped over and fallen through my fence. Sorry, I'm looking at it right now. You'll see it on I'll show videos of it. And all that breath work, all that enlightened, you know, sureness and everything just gone out the window. Just doom and negativity and the deal, like, for realistically, for not that much of a reason. I mean, it is a pain in the ass and something that I don't want to deal with, but I'm going back to Idaho. I'm going to visit Idaho in a couple of days because my grandma's unwell, and it's a lot to not only have someone who I love to the core of my being be sick, and looking down the barrel of either having a huge rally of personal health and change of perspective at the age of 86, or looking at not that much longer on this planet if she doesn't make some serious changes, which is her choice. And who knows at that age. But I will never, I'll never completely lose hope. But the point is that is weighing on my mind, and then just a bunch of other things to do with work. And I'm sure that it's not any secret if you've been watching along on this channel that I've been kind of in a crisis of what I'm gonna do next in my life. And so it was just another another tipping point, and everything just washed away completely. Just a series of immensely negative bullshit way of looking at things, and just complete everything is hopeless, you know, I can't catch a break, whatever the negative self-talk is. And then, you know, I talked to my parents on the phone and uh, was super, you know, no matter how much they tried to placate me and, you know, or talk to my dad on the phone, and no matter how much he tried to, you know, it's not that big of a deal, chill, I was just kept trying to spin it negative and fucking feel bad for yourself bullshit sort of way, which I was super ashamed and just embarrassed about. I just don't understand how I can have so much positive momentum and belief in something, and then just one little thing happens and it's, you know, right back to, you know, negative self-talk, negative whatever, the bullshit that we all know. um, what happens when you kind of feel like you have a heavy load at the moment and one more little thing gets thrown on there. Sometimes it can feel like your knees just buckle and you go to the ground, but you just gotta, you know, no one else is gonna get you out of the mountain. You just gotta decide how long you're gonna spend on the ground feeling bad for yourself before you push yourself up and just keep trudging on. And what has happened to me lately is the derailments are just getting shorter and shorter and shorter by orders of magnitude. You know, whatever those derailments are, it could be something more serious than a tree falling through my fence. It could be, you know, losing a job or something changing or whatever, major financial stress coming into play, whatever it is, or just negative choices compounding, you know, choosing to go out and party or something for a couple weeks and then getting into a negative eating cycle or whatever. The times where I do derail from, you know, the trajectory or the path that I have chosen for myself. And well, before that time shortened, but before I, you know, kind of go too far down that tangent, let me tell you how I, you know, really stay on the path that I know that I want to be on. What I do is and I've done this for a few years now, is basically I imagine my life exactly as I want it. You know, basically in the wild, whether it's on a beach or a mountain, doesn't really matter to me, with a huge, beautiful property that is filled with all of my friends and the people that I love, and just filled with abundance, and all the food is produced basically within a couple miles of where I'm living, and that's all the food we eat. And then, as far as myself, my physical being, because I'm, you know, paralyzed in a wheelchair, I imagine basically a version of myself. I usually imagine on this version of myself on the beach, but a completely 100% healed, ripped, tanned, healthy version of myself. And I like to imagine myself doing deadlifts because that's something I really loved to do before, and really picture and feel the actual feeling of doing deadlifts and how empowering and insane that would feel from, like, from a disabled perspective, how it would actually feel to all of a sudden be able to do a deadlift and jump and move my sand through the toes. And basically I imagine that and I embody that person and I have them coach me to where we're going, and, you know, let me know that it's worth it, let me know how awesome it is there, let me know what it feels like, my future self literally telling me exactly what it feels like to be 100% healed, have, you know, created a beautiful family, and have all my family and friends, who I cherish the most and value the same things that I do, around me all the time, you know, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And, you know, I have them tell me what that's like and coach me how to get there, and, you know, pull me onto the trajectory that I want to be on. I let the version of myself, you know, that the ultimate expression of who I want to be, if there was no obstacles in my way and I had all the money and all of the opportunity and just, you know, there, and could spontaneously heal spinal cord injury, if everything was perfect, you know, that version of myself, I let them call me forward. And it really helps when I'm going through, you know, particularly tough moments, or even like pushing through, like even something, you know, just that's not like a crazy tough moment, because this is when that's when I lose sight of this vision and lose, you know, being able to hear what that version of myself's advice would be for me. But even something like just pushing a breath hold a little bit farther. I imagine the fittest, most badass version of myself telling me how they actually got there, and you know, advise me, because you always know what to do. Um, you let fear or excuses or whatever get in the way. It's so insidious, that voice in the back of your head that tells you that, you know, you need to take a breath, that all of these reasons why you know, need to stop working out, or you don't have to do one more set. It's really tricky and insidious. You don't know. I never know whether or not it's my, yeah, you know, sense of like my a good sense telling me to slow down and not injure myself, or you know, that little evil whisper that makes you a quitter. It's really hard to differentiate between the two. It's very uh yeah, it's very subtle. But anyways, um what I was saying is, you know, picturing the absolute, not just picturing, embodying the absolute most badass version of myself that I could possibly be, you know, and being able to do all of the athletic endeavors that I dream to do for the first time, or to be able to do again. You know, things like I want to, you know, free dive to some. I don't want to go crazy. It's super dangerous, dangerous sport. It turns out the more that I learn about it, but I do want to be able to, you know, free dive to some pretty substantial depths and spend tons of time under the water. I want to be able to deadlift again and run and play with my kids and snowboard and surf standing up and all of that stuff. Run. I loved running before I got injured. I want all of those things. So, and I know there is, you know, if there's a million possibilities for what could happen. I know one of those trillion possibilities of what could happen. I know one of those possibilities is that. I know it's possible. I know it's out there. I know that reality is out there. It's just a billion perfect decisions to get there. You know, it's a unfathomably hard to navigate map to that destination. But who better to advise me than the version of myself that's already there? I know it's kind of hard to just conceptualize verbally, but if you really take the time to sit down and, you know, picture that version, make them real, and just create them, you can start listening to them. You really can, you know, because somewhere innately inside of us, we know the right answer. Sometimes in, you know, in the present moment, it just gets muddled. But that person always knows the perfect version of yourself. So again, I kind of wiggled all over the place here, but what I'm saying is, it's no matter how much work you do, no matter how, you know, whether it's spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, no matter how much effort you put towards, you know, being that perfect version of yourself, while you're still on the journey, it's the smallest things can derail you and totally make you fall from grace, act like a pussy or an asshole, which is, I did both yesterday. And, you know, for what I would have done, and I did feel tons of shame, but what I would have done, you know, for most of the rest of my life, is steep in that shame for a lot longer. And then what would have actually happened is steep in that shame, but then made other shitty decisions because of the shame, and then felt guilt for those decisions or whatever. You know, it would have compounded. Whereas this, I just let you know, let the shame happened. I deserve to feel ashamed. I'm not trying to push out the, you know, all negative emotions. I think it was after losing my temper and being sad and depressed and negative and just bullshit about the whole thing. I think that shame is a perfectly acceptable emotion. So I'm not trying to get rid of the shame. I'm just not trying to let the shame cause other shitty choices afterwards. And so I didn't. I just, did whatever, went to bed, read my book for a while, and, got to bed nice and early. I have no, what helps is having, no outlet for that shame. I don't have nicotine. I don't have anything sugary or junk food accessible in the house. I don't have any apps on my phone. I don't have any way to kind of take a take a turn. Sorry, I just totally lost my train of thought there. Take a dopamine turn for the worst. Anyways, that's it. Day 87. Love you guys. Sorry about the cicada. I will hopefully have silenced it as much as possible in editing, but we'll see. He's a loud bastard. Lots of love. Goodbye.